Hello everyone, this is Jose with Sustainable Earth, and I am today in beautiful Jurmala, Latvia, on the roof of my house. And the reason I'm here is because I want to show you the solar system that it is currently operating in my house, and it is giving me all the energy and the electricity that my house requires, and I'm pretty much self-sufficient. So my family, my home is almost self-sufficient. I'll show you how this works and how this is very recommended for you too. So here we go again. So for the system to operate, of course, we require the solar panels, and the solar panels will harness the energy of the sun and will convert it into clean electricity. So in my case, I have 6.4 kilowatts of solar panels, and they are distributed in two strings that run in parallel, 3.2 kilowatt each string, and here they are. So we have some of the panels here, a few more over there. Yes, I know, they are very dirty, but they still generate a lot of electricity, and today is a beautiful day for that. So now we have the solar panels here, and the rest is inside the house, which is basically the BLUETTI EP600. And we're gonna review the main features of the EP600, their advantages and benefits, and why having an energy storage is a great opportunity to become self-sufficient energy-wise. So we are now entering the house, and we're going to go where the BLUETTI EP600, the start of the video, is located inside the house. So let's go together. And here it is, the EP600. So here we have it, the start of the video, the EP600. The EP600 has two main components, the inverter, which is this box on top, and the batteries. The inverter is connected to the solar array on the roof of the house, so the two strings that run in parallel are connected here, and in the other side of the system, of the inverter, basically we have the cables that connect to the loads of the house and to the grid. Here we have the batteries. The batteries, each one is almost 5,000 watt hours of electricity capacity, energy storage. So together is almost 10 kilowatt hours of energy storage, 4,960 watt hours to be more exact. And the inverter is 6 kilowatts divided into 3 phases, 2 kilowatt each phase. And a very important feature of the system, I mean, it's actually a very important feature, is that it is grid connected. So in cases that 6 kilowatts might not be enough, and that could be a very rare case, maybe in the winter, when we have the heat pump working and some appliances such as the stove or I don't know, coffee maker running at the same time, and we might pull extra electricity from the grid. But also a very good feature of this is that the surplus of electricity that we don't use, and in days like today we are definitely using less electricity than what we can produce with the system, because it's a sunny day, the days are longer, and after the batteries are full, right, the remaining electricity goes to the grid, and that can be used later when the days become shorter, or when it is overcast, or there is snow outside, and you know, typical winter day here in Latvia, and then we can use that electricity. Basically, the utility will give that electricity back to us. But because we have energy storage, most of our electricity is uh, independent from the grid, and we don't have to pay for it. I mean, basically, we are using the electricity that we generated with the solar panels. And in days like today, right now, the system is basically running with the inverter and the solar panels. Later today, when the solar radiation diminishes, then we will start using the energy stored in the power bank, basically in the batteries, and that will cover our needs during the night. And we're gonna see our system working with some appliances now, and we're gonna see all the electricity consumption of the house for the month, which is ending now, and how much we gave to the grid and how much we can get from the grid later on when the days become shorter and there is no so much electricity production from the system. Of course, another great feature of this system is that has the backup, which is connects with this lever here, and we're gonna go to the other side of the wall, and I will show you how this interact with the system of the whole house, the main panel of the house. But yeah, hey, power outage, emergencies, I'm covered. The house is covered, basically. If we are disconnected from the grid, we can run the house entirely on this and the solar panels. We just switch to the backup system and voila. So this is the main panel of the house, and this is the lever that connects to the BLUETTI, and I can switch from grid to backup given the requirement. If we lose electricity, of course I will switch to backup, and I can provide electricity to the house. And particularly now in the summer and a big part of the year, basically I will not require the grid at all. And it is the case now in these last few days of May, in which the energy stored in the system is using during the night, and I don't use electricity from the grid. Only in the first few days of May we used some electricity from the grid, and it was because the heat pump was running harder, right? There were still colder days, but it is not the case now. Of course, the backup power will not be enough as the fall progresses and into the winter, and that's when we will use the electricity given to the grid, and we will get it back in the form of credit. The difference that makes is that when we use the electricity from our system is free. When we use electricity that comes from the grid, will not be entirely free. There will still be a fee. However, we can always increase our energy storage by adding more batteries. But for now, I think we're fine, we're covered. We made some calculations and I will show them too. And the house is pretty much self-sufficient if we also count with the electricity that we will receive from the grid later in the fall and during the winter. So today is a great day for the demonstration that we are going to do. We're going to see the ability of the EP600 to cover all the needs of the house, electricity needs of the house. So right now my wife is cooking a beautiful chicken. It looks really yummy already. And here is the BLUETTI EP600 app. And right now it's using 1 kilowatt, exactly 1 kilowatt, right? So here is the current that is coming from the PV system, basically from the solar panels, okay? And this is the electricity demand of the house right now. So it is not only these, but possibly a couple of smaller devices. My kids are probably using the laptop. And right now my consumption is 1 kilowatts, but it's mostly this. The heating is not operating because it's warm enough, so only probably the fan of the heat pump is running. So we continue with demonstrations of how the BLUETTI EP600 interacts with the main appliances of the house. Typically the appliances in the kitchen use a lot of electricity, and this is the case of this stove. So here I have a pot with water, and we're gonna see in our app how much electricity it requires. So let's see, it'll take a few seconds and we will see a jump. Right now, by the way, our system is giving 4.9 or 4.0 kilowatts to the grid because the battery has more than 80%, right? I have set up my app, or well, the system, that it can start giving electricity to the grid once it surpasses the 80%. I don't really want the batteries to be full constantly, all the time. You know, the sweet spot for the batteries is to charge them all the way to 80 and to deplete them, well, to discharge them to 20. So that 20 to 80 is the sweet spot, and it will give extra life to the batteries. You know, they will last long time. Right now the batteries are supposed to be alive for 3,500 cycles. That means for 3,500 times it can be charged and discharged, and after that, let's see what happens here. So right now the oven and the stove at max is using 4.2 kilowatts. The grid is still receiving from the system 4.1 kilowatts, and the solar panels are giving 2.3 kilowatts. Wow, that's a lot. A lot of consumption for one. We're still giving to the grid, and the solar system is still generating. The water is already boiling. We're gonna stop this. Or no, let's add something else. Let's see what happens. We keep adding things. Well, we have 4 kilowatts, where we have the oven, we have the stove, and we have this electric pot. So what else can we do? I mean, it's a lot, right? And probably the heat pump is still, the fan is running. We have the fridge. So basically it's responding really well. Okay? We are still within the 6 kilowatts of power output. We're going to stop here. We know the system performs really well with all our electricity devices. Of course, if we add up on top of this the toaster, or if we have an electric car or power tools that require a lot of electricity, 6 kilowatts will not be enough. However, for our case, in this home, we are good with it. And of course, if we exceed the 6 kilowatts of our loads together are working at the same time and it's more than 6 kilowatts, we will use electricity from the grid. So I got distracted when I was talking about the batteries, and I started to check how much consumption was coming from these appliances. But what I wanted to say is that the batteries are rated for 3,500 cycles, and after that it will degrade to 80%. That doesn't mean that they will die after 3,500 cycles, which is approximately 10 years, but they will degrade to approximately 80%. But my system is set up so it charges all the way to 80% and discharges all the way to 20%. That, in theory, is the sweet spot and will give extra life to the batteries. So you might have noticed we were giving electricity to the grid because we already were with more than 80% of the battery. The battery was past the 80% of storage, because in such a nice day like today, we are harnessing a lot of electricity, and the remaining was going to the grid, okay? And that electricity will come later to us from the grid, and we will be able to use it during late in the fall and during the winter. Now we are here on the BLUETTI app, and what we see here is the solar array is giving 2 kilowatts. It is 6 p.m. pretty much, 5:59 p.m. and we're still gathering a fair amount of solar radiation, and the house is using only 172 watts, even though the oven is still working, probably just cooling and finishing the cooking. And yeah, it's only 172 watts at the moment, and soon, when the system probably reaches 82% or 83%, we're going to start giving the part of our electricity to the grid, because we don't want the batteries to go all the way to 100%. We don't want them to be full. So we will start sharing with the grid. Now we're going to review the statistics of this system. The system has been operating since the 3rd of May. So today is 30th of May, and we are at 1010 kilowatt hours of generation. Wow, that's all the electricity that we have generated with the solar system, and part of that was used at the time of generation, and a significant part of that also was stored in the system, in the batteries, and it was used during the dark hours of the day, basically during the night, right? And we only used 526 watt hours or kilowatt hours from all this electricity. So what happened with the rest? The rest, it was going to the grid. Basically, half of the electricity, almost half of the electricity that was generated went to the grid. That is 4,988.8 kilowatt hours. And we still used 152.4 kilowatt hours from the grid. And that, let's see, that happened in the early days of the month. The first week of the month was when we used the mostly more electricity. Of course, because they were the coldest days of the month and the heat pump was running. And we fed the grid with significant amount of electricity. Here it is, our curve. There was one day we needed to stop the system, because that was the day here on 16. That was the day we had the installers connecting the backup power, because initially it was only grid connected, and we needed to do the backup power too. So that was one day the system was off. Right, so again, let's do a recap. We generated 1,010 kilowatts. We used 526. We gave to the grid 498.8, and we only used 152 from the grid. Right? What happened with this electricity that we fed to the grid? Well, we will get it back at one point, but probably there will be a fee. Now, of course, the electricity that we use straight from our storage, our batteries, is free for us, right? So this is approximately 18 kilowatt hours of consumption per day, right? And it is roughly 6,000 kilowatt hours of consumption per year. May is a good month for making an average, because
It is the middle of the spring, so it is not really summer, not really winter, and it gives us a good idea of an average for the year, right? And based also in the location that we are and using calculation, we generate more or less the same than we produce. Approximately 17.718 is what the system will produce, kilowatt hours per day will produce as an average. And that's more or less what we use, right? With this BLUETTI EP600 with 2 batteries of adding up to almost 10 kilowatt hours of storage capacity. So in theory, and now that can be confirmed only at the end of the year, well, at the end of the 1 year cycle, we'll see. Maybe we will still use some electricity from the grid, but most of the electricity that we will use from the grid will be the credits that we have given to the grid. And a significant portion of the electricity that the house will consume will come from the batteries. I mean, we're talking about a house that is almost self-sufficient. But of course, time will tell if we meet that goal. We are not really sacrificing anything in the house as far as heating or our daily activities. We don't have an electric car yet. That will probably change things when we require that. We will definitely aim for an extra battery or 2 once the situation arises. But as the way the system is set up, it should meet the electricity demand of the house with minimum dependence from the grid. I hope you find this video useful. I think it is a very interesting proposition. The ability of generate your own electricity, clean electricity, with a system that can cover pretty much all your electricity demands, and at the end save you money, right? In a location like this, in Northern Europe, electricity costs have increased significantly in the last few months. And many of the houses are also switching to heat pumps for heating and giving basically leaving natural gas behind and switching to heat pumps. Now with that, the electricity demand is still higher, and we're talking about bills in a monthly basis of in excess of 300 euros or even 400 euros for a typical household. And this system, of course, is an expensive or costly investment, but can be paid off only in 5 or 6 years if you take into consideration all the saving that you have in a monthly basis. So it's up to you, and I hope, regardless of you going for this system or any BLUETTI system or any system for that matter, that you find this video interesting, and I hope you can subscribe to my channel so I can continue to produce more and more videos like this. Thank you.